Okay, amazing. So we're learning Torah Pei Zayin. Funny enough, if you open it up in the first volume, it says Titan Emes Liachov, which is the Parsha. But we're not doing that one. We're doing Torah Pei Zayin in the second volume of Nekuda Maharan from Rebbeinu with Zevi Shtender.
Shalom.
It's Maharan, Nekuda Maharan Tanyana. I think that's how we call it, Tanyana. It's the second part of Nekuda Maharan. And over there's a Torah that I've learned many times with people. I just mentioned one of them in my intimacy session with Bnei Akiva, a guy in LA, and I learned it back in the day. I think it was Skype. That's what we learned it all those years ago, and he was having trouble with his relationship, and we learned it, and Baruch Hashem, he's married, as far as I know, with kids, and life got a bit better. This Torah really can be a lifesaver, and even though it brings down, it's specifically meant to be for Elul, the Kavana, but Elul really, Elulim, Al-Elilim, don't make yourself into Elulim, where Elul's only once a year. Really, we need to do the whole avoda of Tikkun Bris and Shalom Bayit the whole year round. It's not just the Elul thing. And being that we're now by Yaakov Avinu, who was Rashis owner, in this week's Parsha, we know that he was someone who never spilled seed. Yeah, he was on a Madrega. We know in Parsha Yechi, where it brings this blessing for Reuven. He'd never spilled seed. He was by Kedushas Bris and the Svasemis by Kedushas Bris. We know by Rabbi Nachman. And we know that we know that the biggest nisoyin of our generation is Yesod, and that's brought down by most Tzaddikim that I've spoken to about it. And Gedalia Fenster is
you
a
might
big
not know
mashpia.
this because I know you don't. There's no way you would. We don't know each other long enough. Yeah. But my birthday is in Sfras Omer.
Oh, Yesod should be Yesod.
No, Gevur should be Yesod.
Oh, Gevur should even that's also good. The Misgabe on Yesod. Yeah. Okay,
could it not be more like Bolet?
Very much. Yeah. So I'm Purim, so I don't know.
Purim.
It's also taking your sword, so
good.
In a different way.
Real good.
More with Simcha. Da shebekavanas elu heim tikkun lebagam habris. The kavanas elu is with the tikkun to bagam habris, to the bagam of the covenant. Yeah. Funny enough, we learn every morning. I haven't mentioned it here so much, but Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, we try that, but not every morning. At least twice a week, maybe, with one or two of the Choshev tatis here, fathers. And friends here. I'm going to say their names on the thing, it might not be mentioned. But we learned together, and we're going through Kitzur Shulchan Aruch. We started off with Hilchas Bris, yeah, Kedushas Bris, and we've been going through Hilchas Yichud, yeah, which has been very connected. And from there, it's covered a lot of things. You'd be surprised how good the Kitzur Shulchan Aruch, especially the Art Scroll version, where it has underneath. I was talking about it with Nissan Black, this Shabbaton with Reisha, and we had a nice time to discuss things. So it came up, this idea of Kedushas Bris and Tikkun Bris, and we were talking about how learning basically the halachas can be very helpful. So I recommend anyone to go over there to the Simanim, just to you know where it is. It's around Simon 150, those kind of places, I think, is prohibition of Yichud. It's Kedai to go there, you'll see it will help. But here we're going to learn the Panemius now, the inner level of the Torah. Kisod kavanas elohu nosim b'yam derech. We mentioned this morning, that Hashem opened up the pathways for one of our other friends to go have a chavrusa in Yerushalayim after a terror attack. Just like my son, he also had a pathway made for him. So that's what this pasuk means. So nosim b'yam derech. Hashem is going to give us a pathway through the yam. The yam is malchus, as we know, and nosim b'yam derech. Through Yesod, through the power of Yosef HaSadik, through the Sadik Yesod Olam, that we took out the Aaron of Yosef, that gave us the power to have the Yam split. So the Kavana of Elul is this pasuk, Anosim B'yam Derech. There's another Torah in the Kizmarim that says Anosim B'yam Derech. B'yam Derech is the same OCS as Mordechai. So with Mordechai, if we go through this whole thing, Mordechai was also Sadik Yesod Olam of that time, and that was the key for the whole miracle of Purim. And there's a whole Torah in the Ketubah that talks about Mordechai and what he is.
This is the second mention of Purim.
Yes. Elul and Purim are very connected because Elul is
Kippur, Yom Kippur.
Yeah, it's all about tshuva b'yira, tshuva b'ava. Yeshaya says, the Novi, that this is the pasuk, and Yaya Bechin is derech b'yam, to light up this aspect of derech b'yam, this pathway in the yam. Derech zeh niftach b'chodesh Elul. This apparently path opens up in the month of Elul. Yeah, so we're already making a chanas for Elul in the middle of Kislev, Erev Chanukah.
And we're talking about the Ha'ir in Kislev already. So
so it's good. It's good light. A lot of like Ika Pagama Bris who Bechinas Derech Hazeh. So by the way, we're going to do this quickly because we want to get to the main Torah, which you said at the beginning really needs the main focus. But I'm doing this to cover some of my chaverim here in the frat. We've discussed this Torah, and one of the reasons we came up just to get rid of this Pagama Bris, it came up in the idea of Shalom Bayit. It came up because we have Shalom Orish, who I had discussed to be by for many years, would bring up in the Garden of Peace, the Garden of Shalom, which is Nissan Black's favorite sefer from Rav Rosh, and it says he, according to him, it saved his marriage. The idea that there's a lot of people that understand or do understand but find it very difficult or a bit extreme, some of the language of Rav Rosh in terms of how strong. My experience was that this book was a beautiful insight to Rav Shalom Orish's own Shalom Bayit and definitely can help everyone as an inspiration. But you have to internalize it in your own way. Like everything, when you're hearing from Tzaddikim, you can't just take their derech and imitate it. We've mentioned this before. You have to sort of bring it down. Just like we're going to hear from Rabbi Nachman, it's a very big light and very pure. We have to now internalize it according to our level. And so that's what we're going to do now, hopefully. Yeah, with Hashem's help. Ika Pagama Bris hi bechinas derech hazeh. So the main Pagama Bris is with this path. Ki hayasarach la'ir bechinas Reish Chaf Dalet, Masayim Esrim Arba. These are Oiris, Panemius things it talks about in Kabbalah. 224 lights, but Bechinas Yam. This is the aspect of the Yam. Bechinas Amunah. This is the aspect of Amunah. We're not Mezeh Begam Bechinas Derech, and that is the Begam on the aspect of Derech. Yeah, where else do you see that there was a Loshen of Derech? Who's that about? It's about Amalek.
Yeah, Amalek. That's they called you off and
came on the way. And even the word that people use on the derech, off the derech, yeah, OTT and all this stuff. I don't like all this stuff. What these classifications, Orthodox, modern Orthodox, all this stuff. To me, it's all nonsense. Like I understand practically why people say these words, but as I once said to a supposed gay Orthodox, so even I'm using the classification, but that's how they classified him. I said this to one of my old friends from Muslimeh. I said to him, he's been classified that way. I said to him, the derech is much bigger than we think. The path is much bigger. Hashem has an ultimate rachamim on all of us, especially when we're Jews, and He wants to help us on the path of tshuva. So rather than define people this way, that way, let's just do tshuva and just focus on the good, on the Nekuda's Tovas, which is we're going to get to in a minute, in the next Torah. Hashchis kol basa estarcho. So it says in Bereshis by Parshas Noach that they were like busy over there, like with the acts of flesh in their ways, spilling seed all over the place and doing all kinds of averas, God forbid, with all kinds of different people that were forbidden to them. That was like a spilling of seed and blood and flesh and a real like shredding of the flesh, like not the way a human being should be. And that was used the word darko. So you see derech has a connection to Pagama Bris, the blemish of the Bris, of the covenant. What is a woman is called derech. So it says in the Gemara Kedushin that from our sages that there is this other way. This is the aspect, as it says in Mishlei, derech isha menefes, that the path of a woman is to this kind of like promiscuity. Yeah, is that how I said it? Promiscuity? Yeah, you said it better. American accent works, plus you actually know how to say it.
My grandfather, Shalom, he had this great saying. It was, I always have to make sure you put the proper emphasis on the right syllable.
Emphasis on the right syllable.
Yeah.
So that's a good joke.
Yeah, he was great.
I like that. That's geschmack. Let's see what's going on. Okay, great. So here we are. So we're trying to do that with the promiscuous woman, and that's derech. It's the Lashon has the way. As I mentioned, derech. Some people say derek. That's who didn't get their language sorted out in Hebrew. That's Hashem they will. Well, remember the cha derech. Aklal she'ika pagam bechinas derech shelo ha'ir b'derech b'yam. Do not light up the path in the yam. V'amayim machmas zeh pagam yocho la'abed et zevigo. Yeah, and this is where we're getting to Shalom Bayit. Here we go. But many times it means this pagam causes a person to lose his soulmate. Yeah. So we all know, and this is brought down from the Tikkun. Yeah, this is all deep svarim that Rabbi Nachman's quoting from the highest places. And the idea that a person losing his soulmate is when he's become the Bris. And let's say, for example, people who have internet addiction or porn addiction, even worse, or even acting it out, like going to actual places where the porn is, God forbid, is acted out, and all those kind of places, and all those terrible things. So that can ruin your marriage for many, many reasons. One, the man starts becoming functional, enabled to be able to, actually perform that action. And
it's not healthy outside the scope of Judaism.
Yeah.
Inside the scope of Judaism, all the more so. Yeah.
And it basically can weaken the ability to connect. And the whole focus I've been talking about to B'nai Akiva people, the young teenage, the 18-year-olds, 19-year-olds, can't go too explicit, but the main point is that the focus needs to be there on one woman, on that intimate partner, if it's for a man or woman, the other way around.
Appropriate relationships.
Yeah, and it needs to be fully focused. That means not your mind and heart is not with other images and people, and because it just loses the connection and weakens the connection to the point where if someone's become a bris, it could lose his soulmate completely. Because after a person goes out from his soulmate, it's very difficult to then find a soulmate. And even if you do find his soulmate, now say someone who's able to find his soulmate, yeah, you're at a point where you found her. What happens? You're not really guarding the bris, even though she's married and she's dedicated to your relationship. TLO miss negatives, and who hasn't gone through this? She will come to him against him. Yeah, She will be against him. So that Eza Kenegdo, we want the good part of the Kenegdo. Yeah, she's an Eza, helpmate. She'll become Kenegdo against him. Yeah, which is a real problem. We don't want our soulmate to be against us. They can help us. They give us answers. They can. But when they start firing at us, yeah, and Musa night every night, yeah, and all the kind of painful experience, and it can get to a person where, thank God I always try to be humble in these situations, but you can get to a place where you're no longer makabel the Musa, and you can start fighting back, and that's when marriage starts breaking down. But it all comes back to this Begama Bris that caused this. I'm just going to check up above what he says. Yeah, so far we're good. Yeah. So interesting Loshen the Rav Kramer brings in his English translation. He says, having turned away from his soulmate, it's difficult for him to find her. And even if he finds his soulmate, she will oppose him and not incline to what he wants, because he has turned away from her instead of shining into her. Hear this concept? You should be shining. It's not enough just to turn up. Like men always say, what's your problem? I've said it myself. I have a job, I work, I provide. And even that probably not so great at. But I provide, yeah? And, paying the bills and, and that's our get out clause. And the woman's like, what? You think I married you to pay bills? Yeah? I could have married someone. Once you could have married someone who paid much better the bills, yeah, if you know what I mean. But secondly, she married you to have a connection, soulmate, yeah? It means intimate connection. It means one. That's why my whole course is about intimacy, is being focused on the intimacy, not on the everything else.
External things.
Yeah.
It's very interesting because there's a lot of psychological stuff happening here, but even on a very feeling level, when a person, a male is in a relationship and with his ego, and he's doing these things, it's not shomer the breed. Even if the wife is completely unawares of his doings, there's going to be that natural distance of her doing.
So this is where we get deep. What Zevi's actually onto the point, because we're just going to read it in Hebrew a little bit more, and then we'll explain exactly how on point you are. That she's no longer going after his will. It's very deep. Will. Remember that Loshen Rotzen is will. And that's because he's not shining into her anymore. Yeah. Exactly what you just said. Because nothing to do with some sort of I'm sure there's those superficial encounters because you did this, I'm not going to do that. That could have the business is the relationships become very business-like. So you don't pay this, I don't do that. You don't give me this attention.
Quid pro quo and all that.
Yeah. Well, that's a very low-level relationship, and we're not even going there. We're not on that level. We're on a level where we're actually in love and we have a soulmate, but the problem is we're not focused. We're busy doing other rotzens. We're not serving Hashem's rotzen. We're distracted. So then what happens is she becomes distracted. And what does that mean? She's no longer being shined into. You're not shining her. You're not like the sun shining at the moon, giving it light. You're now a black hole, just wanting attention and needing, just trying to swallow everything up that you can get out of her, out of your kids, out of business. You're a needy person, which is one of the biggest issues of men nowadays. Instead of becoming a giver, a nosin, a mashpia, you're makabel and you're receiving, and that's not going to be good. That's like addiction is someone who's caught up with receiving the whole time. They need to be constantly fill that vacuum, that huge gaping hole inside of them that hasn't been filled with Ratzon Hashem and Torah and mitzvahs and panemius and connection to good things, to values, and their soulmate. They're filling up that void with all kinds of crap, excuse my language, and chemicals and distractions. So the whole thing is we have to know that's not what we're here for. We have to fight that. Yeah, and we have to do Ratzon Hashem. And if we do Ratzon Hashem, then what will happen? She'll do our Ratzon. And that's what we're going to get to. This is where Rav Arush was quoted many times in his book, this concept from Rabbi Nachman. Yeah, let's go. Yeah, Lo Zocha Kenegdo. She's not, he's therefore, and then he's not Zocha to this Kenegdo. Because then you're able to fix this. Yeah, this whole kavana, and this is okay. And this is from the Arizal. This is Chisalenu. And by fixing this, then you go out, you find your soulmate. So all these people are asking, I need to find my soulmate. So what's Rabbi Nachman saying? Do Ratzon Hashem. You do Ratzon Hashem, and she'll do your Ratzon, and she'll come towards you. Hashem will work it out that she'll come towards you.
You can do anything.
Rak kurat sono. Yeah, that's what he's saying. He aino connecto. Yeah, she won't be against you. Rak kurat sono. She'll be doing your Ratzon. Yeah. So obviously women have their own shlita. They're not like, they're not being controlled by our Ratzon. But on a panemius level, what it's saying for a man,
it's a different type of it's not quid pro quo. It's order of operations.
It's
you
how
do what you're supposed to do, and I'll take care of it. It's going to fall into place.
Your soulmate will come towards you and help you and be there for you and do your Ratzon. Yeah, and it will be a beautiful zivug. It will be shalom. Yeah, so then you come to the whole thing of Rav Arush, where he says that when she starts going against you, so then you need to do tshuva. You need to go do a spodidus for an hour. Mm-hmm. And rather than shout back at her, you say, okay, tzedekah, you're correct. Now you go to the side room when she's not around, you do tshuva for an hour or half an hour, whatever it is, a spodidus. You fix your sins, refocus your life back on Ratzon Hashem, and then watch. You won't have to fight. You won't have to have any more shalom bias problems, because suddenly you're tuned back into your Ratzon Hashem. Suddenly she comes back to you smiling. That's basically the image Rav Arush has brought out in his sefer, because now you've done the tshuva needed to bring her back towards your light. Yeah, that's
you've done your tshuva and you're shining.
Yeah,
and therefore you're shining into her. Yeah, and she'll come to you.
Yeah. And last night
that's beautiful.
I was getting a bit beats, so I wasn't shining at her. I wasn't shining at my family last night for whatever reason. I was justifying it to myself, doing stuff, projects, work, sharing some stuff online, doing some important things with Torah, mitzvahs, and panasa. But then I wasn't shining at my family, and they had tainas on, and they were right, and therefore I got beaten down a little bit. And then I got myself back up in the morning, I didn't fight back. I got myself back up in the morning. And I try to do a bit of tshuva and just try and shine a little bit and be there for them and, try to do some positivity. And it works, because I'm tuning back into my avoda rather than taking last night's experience and fighting about it, It wasn't easy, some of the things said, but mochel, because it's not the point. I don't need my wife to only say nice things to me. That's not what we're here for. When she says not nice things to me, it's magili, So it's okay. We do tshuva. Yesh b'zeh sod nifla. And a lot of it, unfortunately, has a bit of truth in it that I need to hear anyway. Yesh b'zeh sod nifla. This is a secret, deep, wondrous secret. Kida, no. And then whenever Rebbe Nachman says this, and all the more so when he says sod nifla, da is taking us up to the highest levels of atzilus, of knowledge, of wisdom. Zeh sod Moshe Avram le'Eliezer avdo. And we had 2 weeks parsha ago, Chai Sarah, that this is a secret that Avram gave over to Eliezer, his servant. He sent Eliezer to go find the zivug for his Yitzchak, his son. Hainu sod kavanas Elo, and this is the secret of Elo, the secret understanding of Elo. Shehem Mesugales the tikkun of Bris, and this is a time which is perfect, or rather Mesugalim, is very roi, is fitting to fix up the Bris, the covenant. Aidezem Motzi and Zivuga, and then through that, through fixing the Bris, you're able to find your soulmate. And in this case, this is for all of history, because Avram finding a soulmate for Yitzchak is now bringing down Yaakov, which is the continuation of Klal Yisrael, and the tachlis of Ma'aseh Bereshis to have Am Yisrael in the world, to have represent Hashem in the world, a nation. Through this tikkun, that she will come and do his rotzen. So by fixing up the bris, Eliezer was successful in his shlichus to therefore bring Rivka to Yitzchak, because now she wants to do the rotzen of Yitzchak through Eliezer the shlich. It's funny enough because my daughter's Rivka and my older son is Yitzchak and I'm Eliezer, so I always connect to this sort of thing. Now this is a big thing. Remember, everyone out there thinks the single world, that's where all the problems are. In the married world, you're sorted. Yeah? I mean, not everyone, but a lot of people imagine that.
That's especially when the work begins.
People think, and the movie world, it's all about finding that person. Literally, every movie. There's almost never a movie
where the movie ends.
Yeah, they never show the next 10, 20 years of struggle of building a marriage and a family. Once in a while, those movies they do have, but they're always hectic and crazy, and there's shouting and things flying around. Then it doesn't look so great by that point. But the truth is that majority of the love movies are all about them finding each other, not the hard work afterwards. So that's the real point of Rebbe Nachman is taking us to the after. You're married, you found your zivug, but can you keep her? How do you keep her? By doing what's in Hashem, and then she'll do your rotzen. Otherwise, she won't. She'll go after on different rotzen. Now, Zer Hasod Mivor B'Torah B'Parshas Eliezer, and that whole parsha of Eliezer with the Shidduchim for Avinu finding Yitzchak, a Shidduch, which ended up being Rivka because he was doing Rotzen Hashem, Yitzchak and Eliezer, and they were to bring Rivka back to Yitzchak, and that brings down Yaakov, who we said is the example of a tzaddik who never spilt seed or completely pure in this area. His matos, it says matos shlema. His bed was Shalom, it's complete. We actually say it every Shabbos in Askinas Tudosa for Shabbos day. Avram gave over this secret. Zeh Shama Avram Eliezer in Bereshis, in Chavdalid, over there in Chai Sarah, this famous pasuk. Im lo sa'eva isha leleket achreches. It's even in the pasuk, because if she would not want this woman to go after you. Yeah, why? Because it's all about Kedush Bris. Yeah, Kedush Bris, yeah. But what if not? If you don't keep Kedush Bris, if you go after the Canaanim, you go after the people who don't keep Bris, so then she won't go after you. Bayit niflos Torasenu, and we see the wonders in the Torah, Roshi Tevis Pasuk, Zehem Otis Elo. So even in that Pasuk is hinted at the Chodesh of Elo, which is Tikkun of Bris. Be'em Sehem Tevis Te'eva Isha. Te'eva Isha ki Oyedei Bechinas Elo. Yeah, and even you go to these the middle letters, the Em Sehem Tevis, the middle of those words, you already see that there's a concept of this. Aidei Bechinas Elohem Sod Kavanas Elo. Aidei Zeh Te'eva Isha. Yeah, Aidei Zeh Nasa Barotzen Alav. Canal. Nimsa Elu Tevis Ba'atzman Shadiba Avram Im Eliezer Inyan Chashash Shemelo Tachartzei Lelech Achrav. Tanuma Shamala Imlo Ta'eva Isha Lechis Achrecha Be'elu Tevis Atzman Gila Lesod Hatikin Zeh. Dahainu Sod Elo. Remes Broshi Tevis Shehem Hatikin Zeh Shadi Zeh Tevis Isha Vayzeh Sodis Neurim Mo'od. So anyway, so we see the bottom line is that without getting all into this Perish on the pasuk, how it has a secret in it of this Sod Elo, Sod Kavat of Nosan Yam Derech and Derech Azisha, etc., and doing everything the right way, fixing up the bris, brings you back to the tshuva and tikkun a bris, and that brings you a woman who's able to go after your rotzen, and because you're doing Hashem's rotzen. The point is, it's a Torah. It's from Nekuda Moran. It's not a chiddush from Rav Arush. But what Rav Arush does is he takes it to the most intense level of applying it, where he's totally bottled himself to the Ratzon Hashem rather than taking anything personally. So here Shalom Bayis Shita comes out that it's all about the man doing tshuva. Yeah, if he does tshuva, then the woman will have Shalom Bayis of him. If he doesn't do tshuva, then it should be connected him. That's basically how clear cut it is by Rav Arush. And that's one of Rav Arush's godless greatness, that he's able to simplify very deep concepts into a simple book of instructions how to have Shalom Bayis. And that's why he recommends any couple who are having challenges, or even before that, to say, get to the challenge to read this book. And if you're in, God forbid, based in, which we also learned in Kitzur Shulchan Aruch today about what happens when people get divorced and all the dramas that go with that. If you don't keep halacha, one of the ways, the best way to keep away from divorce is by learning that book, because you won't get to divorce, because now it's all about you doing tshuva. It's not about how wonderful a person she is.
Shalom?
Yeah, it's all about you doing tshuva. So it becomes a very panimi work of yourself, and that will bring out the best soulmate you can have by your tshuva. It turns the whole thing into a very panimius avoda. And it's not about like now going to some therapist and then working through your dynamics and all that kind of stuff. Which are hokim on this, people who say, but what about all the other shitas? It means you have to go to therapy and you have to discuss and work through trauma and work through relationship issues and all other kinds of other levels of looking at relationships. So, according to the Gana Shalom, that's all secondary, or I wouldn't say it's not necessary, but it's secondary. The main thing is you have to do tshuva.
Internal work.
Yeah, you have to do tshuva, you have to do Ratzon Hashem, and then you'll have your zivit. Very simple. But it's based on a pasuk from Eliezer, it's based on the derech, will the woman go after you or not? Yeah, this idea. Why would she go after you? Because you've taken a bris. Let's just finish off the words of Rabbi Nachman in this Torah, Pei Zayin, Yesh Zeh B'Sodus Norim Ma'od. So obviously Rabbi Nachman says there's huge, deep secrets, wondrous secrets, very much. Ki Yam B'Zav B'Tchil V'Yom Hashem O Moshe Koretz Yeshua Ki Sham Midaber B'Kavanas Elu Hu Tikkun L'Bagam Bris Hainu La'ayin Ba'os Ha'mayma L'Zachus L'Havim Ba'Las Simo Ezo Avodas Hashem Aydei Zeh Yisakim B'Gam Bris. The whole point at the end of the day of Rabbi Nachman is he's giving you chizuk to fix your bris. This is what it's about. That's the crux of the Torah, that you fix your bris, you have Shalom Bayis. And it's Sod Kavanas Elo. It's the best preparation for the new year every year. And even though we're coming up to Hanukkah, but they say Hanukkah is the shlemus of whatever you didn't do for Rosh Hashanah, Yom Kippur, Sukkot, and Elul's included in that. So you can now do with Hanukkah. Hanukkah is like that next stage. Those Hanukkah is like the completion of the Yemei Din. So we get an opportunity to do tshuva on the tshuva and hopefully fix up any pagamim we picked up on the way, that we need to come to a clear, clean, focused avoda of Shalom Bayis and marriage and Kedushas Bris. And that's the kind of thing we should done for. And realize it's a big tool, because now you don't need to fight with the other half. There's no fighting. There's just the way Rav Arush is bringing it out, and Rabbi Nachman is hinting at, is that it's like a barometer of your behavior, basically. Shalom Bayis is a barometer of behavior, so just fix your behavior, and then you won't have to suffer as much.
Rav Shlomo used to say, Karlach,
yes,
that he always used to. There are many different times when he used this type of a saying. He'd say, "Whatever you see going on in that person, it's your mirror."
Yes,
it's your mirror.
That's it.
So if they look broken, it's because you're broken.
So that's
if they look disgusting, it's because you're disgusting.
I didn't look at the rest of Rav Kramer's writings on that, but yeah, that's what Rav Shlomo's exactly the point. There is this whole deep idea of like, when you're looking at dealing with people, they're a mirror to your heart. It's based on a Gemara, like Ponim, I think, something like that. Mayim, something. When you look into the water, you see a reflection. So too, heart to heart, like a person. So if you're giving off love towards another person, they're most likely to reflect it back. But if you're giving off hatred or blocked or jealousy,
I want to amend my statement. Yeah. He's talking about the tzaddikim. When you go, when you go to the tzaddikim,
they mirror back at what you need to fix.
Yes. So
that is the Nekuda, yeah. I mean, my son, thank God, he's turning 16. He's flying. Remember, we talked about it, but we didn't in the previous, when we first started learning.
He's going to Oman?
He's going to Oman. He's actually doing what we talked.
Amazing.
Yeah. And how's he paying for it himself?
Good for him.
So while we were sitting here learning about it and saying, hopefully maybe we'll go Hanukkah, great idea, which doesn't look like it's happening, I haven't booked anything, and
neither have I.
Probably could afford it right now. Hashem's blessed me a little bit the last few weeks for some reason. I might be able to pull it off money-wise, but I don't know if I could pull it off Yeshiva Das. I've also been offered to go on a tour with an artist, and I don't want to book anything else until that's clarified. I'm booking probably going to England at some point to see my parents.
I'm leaving on Thursday morning for 4 days.
To America?
To America.
Oh, there we go.
I really don't want to go, but I'm really grateful to go because I'm going for mitzvot. I'm going for my niece's
You'll see all your family and everyone.
I get to go, and it's very exciting to dance at her wedding. And I'm going to go be, the mitzvah of Kibbutz Avein.
Yeah, and you're shliach for here as well.
Yes.
People are going to ask you again and again what's going on in Israel, how was it like to be in a place, and and you're going to have a shlichus,
I'll just be happy to say that we are ready for all y'all to come on back.
Very good, y'all. And also to tell them that it's as hard as it is here, it's a merit to be here.
Yes, and it's definitely easier than whatever they're going through there.
Yeah, and
I don't know. It's different. Different. Easy is not a good word.
Let's now learn the next Torah that will help us deal with people generally, and us, even more importantly ourselves. Reish Pei Beis, the famous Torah Zamar Lakai Ba'odi. I think we'll start it now and we'll continue it next week. Hopefully you'll be back healthy and ability to join us in learning.
And arrive Tuesday at 7, so if we can learn later in the evening.
So we'll learn later next week, Blineda. And if you are hopefully not too jet lagged and your wife's agreeable. But we're going to start now this Torah. Reish Pei Beis is a foundational Torah from Rebbe Nachman. Everyone knows it as Zamar Lakai Ba'odi. And it's really the key to the game. Like whatever we learn now about Shalom Bayis, which is a big chiddush and a big deep secret of marriage, this is crucial for 2023, for Tafshin Pei Dalet, for survival of Ikvus de Mashiach. Anybody who doesn't know this Torah, especially if they're in the teaching world, is missing out on a huge foundation of just getting on with humanity, because it's the only real way for this generation. It's one of the most important Torahs of Rabbi Nachman. He got titled the Sefer Rishoyim. I don't know if you heard that. I don't know if this is true, but I've heard it from many Chassidim, that there's the three levels Svarim. Noam Eli Melech is Sefer Tzadikim. Yes, Kusanenu. Tanya is Sefer Beinanim. And Kriyat Aaron is Sefer Rishoyim. So one of the reasons it got that name from Chassidim, once again, I don't know if this is a true Masorah or anything, but that's, these are things that people say. So the idea that Sefer Rishoyim is that Rabbi Nachman, especially in this Torah, you can see it, brought out the Nekudas Tovas of even Rishoyim, of even people who seemingly are wicked. So you say you get like a guy, like, I don't want to say some names, but I want to say them.
But it sounds negative, say for Rishon,
famous seemingly like Rishoyim out there, and even amongst our own people, there are some names I could say, and I'm not going to. I'm tempted to say it, but I'm not going to do it. Those kind of guys, even them, as Zamar Lakai Ba'odi, there's a Nekuda Tovah there. They're Yidden, they've got something good. They're not Chas Shalom like Hitler Machshamam, who was purely evil. They're people. The majority of Jews, especially, have Nekudas Tovas. Plenty of them. It says in the Gemara, Male mitzvahs karima. They're filled up with mitzvahs like a rima, which is a lot of mitzvahs. Reish Pei Beis. Let's learn. Kuti Maran. This is in the first section of Kuti Maran, and we're going to learn now. Straight away we get Da. Again, we're going up to that high level of Atzilus with Rabbi Nachman, bringing down high levels of Torah to Am Yisrael before Mashiach comes. Ki zarech ledan et kol adam lechaf. That we need to judge every person lechaf zchut. Favorably. Favorably, but it also lechaf is like a palm, zchut. Whatever why a palm. I suppose a palm, you shake someone's hand, it represents like shalom. It's lechaf zchut. And the palm of merit. So you're judging them positively. Afilu mi shehu Rasha Gomo, even if this person is a Rasha Gomo, like I'm not going to say names, but there are people out there who probably throw in that list. You could draw out from those people a little bit of good. Like politically here and there's some of these guys that unfortunately are pretty famous. And once in a while they actually come up with a good policy, Suddenly, like even the right winger or the other people that you're friends with are like, wait a minute. This policy actually sounds like he's got something, something good, and that's the truth, because that's how it goes. No one's completely bad. There's always something good. Even a little bit of good. And in that little bit of good, this is where Rabbi Nachman takes it to the next level. He's not a Rasha, because that you not only do you focus in on it, but you make that how you're looking at this person, how you're assessing that person. From that good point is where you're going to assess that person, not from all the other stuff. The rest is just noise. And for this means you're able to draw out that little bit of good. You're
looking at it through different glasses.
Yeah.
You literally, it's like when they said about David Melech that he had Ayin Tov.
Yes.
Right.
He also said one of the things that says he had beautiful eyes.
That's what I meant. He had beautiful eyes.
Beautiful eyes.
Describes him. It says he has a weird. He's weird looking. He's got red hair. He's this thing, that thing. He
had a good eyes. Yeah.
And when we learned the panemius of it, it was saying like everything. That's how he looked at the world.
That's so that was he. If you read about who his chevra was, they were like meant to be like the Baranim, like the gangsters of that time. Like you see by some Siddiqim, like I'm not going to say who again, but some of them are surrounded by a little bit gangster style people. I don't know if you've ever met such Siddiqim, I have. And some of the guys were even ex-convicts, like criminal records.
Shuva.
Yeah, and they've got tattoos and this and that. They're pretty tough people. You want to get in the dark alley with some of these guys, even though they've got bids and pairs now. But back in the day, they were proper gangsters. And they've done tshuva. And the tzaddik brings out that tshuva. The tzaddik that they're close to brought out the tzaddik in them. Yeah. And then, sorry about that, they're able to draw out from this place, in truth, the good part. And he's able to return him in tshuva. And it says in Tehillim, in Lamed Zayin, this famous psalm, we keep getting to it. Remember we said Oprah's favorite psalm? Yeah? I don't know why we keep quoting her, but anyway. Od ma'at ein rashin is banata al makomo. Einano. Yeah, in a moment, there's no Rasha. Think deeply on his place, and he's not there. So it's showing this concept of tuning into the good part of that person, yeah, through his bonus, like thinking deeply into that person, and once again, not looking at people superficially, but looking at people in a deep way, and in that deep way, that panemius way of connecting with people, you bring out the good, yeah, and then that Rasha part won't be there anymore. Yeah, the evil, wicked, seemingly part is not there. Even though you see that he is a complete wicked person, even though you need to look like a chapesh, seek out, search, request, and to find that little bit of good, shesham einu rasha. And that's the pasuk where it says, in a moment there won't be a Rasha. Why? Because you did the work, the inner work of his bonus, of thinking deeply into that person and bringing out the Nekuda Tovas, the good part.
Is ma'at is it on the time or it's the place? Ma'at, like in that little.
So we've had a few times here the word ma'at is used when we medaik the lashon Rabbeinu. What I would say is ma'at, since it comes out at the beginning of the Torah, ma'at is referring to the little bit of good. It's a lotion of little bit.
So I'm getting the read
on
this.
So too, go on, you say.
So in that, so v'od ma'at ve'en rasha v'ponanta al makom ve'eneno. In that little bit.
Oh, that little bit of good.
Little bit. He's not a rasha in that little bit.
Very good. It's not a time thing.
Ponanta, and you think on it, you meditate on it. Yes.
So he's taking it out of the simple context, which means in a little bit of time, rather that little bit of that person. Yeah? That's what you're saying, yeah? And that makes sense, because it can fit the pasuk also. Because one of the reasons why we know it will fit the pasuk, because oid is going to become more than just a thing, like a stammer word of just saying, in a little bit of time. Oid is going to be the key to the whole Torah, because the Zaman Akai, but oidi, this oid, what is oid? It's this Nekuda Torah. Odd is it. The odd is the ma'at, is the little bit of good. So it completely strengthens and supports what you're saying.
The odd is the ma'at.
Is that little bit of good.
Okay.
The Zaman Akai, but odi, I'm going to rejoice to that odi, that little bit of good. We're going to get into this whole thing of od. This is going to be the big chizuk next week when we learn. We're going to go very much into this Shema, Yisrael Hashem Elokeinu Shem Echad. Rabbi Nachman says, the big ayin and the big daled, it's in Sichos Haran, is the Od of the Odi of this Torah. It's that big ayin, that big dalit. That's how you bring Hashem Echad, by bringing out the Odi. Focusing on the big ayin and the big dalit, the Nekuda Tovah, which is also the same Moses as Da. Da is also knowledge. True knowledge, true wisdom, Panemius of Torah, is being with that Panemius of Am Yisrael, which is Hashem Echad. So there's no Rasha in Am Yisrael. There's only good. That's the truth. We're Echad with Hashem. Shema Yisrael, Hashem Elokeinu, Hashem Echad. Listen, Israel. Hashem is our God. Hashem is one.
It's like the Tanya telling us.
One.
The Baal Tanya
Odi.
telling
Ayin Dalet. Odi. Esmach Odi, he says.
It's like the
I will rejoice with the Od.
Focus on the spark of Elokus.
Yeah, the Elokayim and Mamish.
In that part.
That's how he's saying.
In that part.
Yeah.
In that part of spark of godliness
in every person.
That we certainly are all sharing.
Yeah.
That we all have in it. Yeah. Certainly nobody's a Russia in that spot.
Excellent.
You go into the world of looking at that person through the window of seeing through his godly spark.
Excellent. And that Shema Yisrael is Shema Echad is the same Osius as Esmach Od. I will rejoice in the Od. That's what it says in Sikhs Aran. In that Od, that little bit of good. So you already hinted to it in this pasuk. But Azama Alakai Ba'odi is a different pasuk. We're going to get there soon, hopefully. Okay, or next week. Yeah. You have to seek out that little bit of good that there is in him still. Yeah. Shisham Einu Rasha, and from there he's not a bad person. Ki Afapi Shu Rasha, even though he seems like he's a Rasha, like he, all these kind of Russia kind of things. He's angry, he's jealous, he supports Hamas, I don't know what, yeah? No, there are people that way that could think in a cruel way. So how is it possible that even though there's no good at the moment,
it's not a dying, I think it's not.
He didn't do it yet.
No, she'ein bo ma'at tov adayin. It's like it's still the Od.
So it's still by the Od.
It's not. He didn't do the Od.
Yeah, you're being really strong with this odd language. Okay, I agree.
You started it.
No, I know. There's truth to it. So there is this Panemius point that he's always by the Od, even if he's done all kinds of not good things.
Adayin. Right? So how is it possible that he's only a Russia?
So it's not even like what we might say that eventually he's going to do tshuva, or you're going to see that good part of him, that one day he'll do a mitzvah. Even when he's not doing the mitzvah, he's still got the Od inside him. He's still got that chelik of godliness, that Nekuda Tovah. It's just when he does the mitzvah, it shows that's where it came from. It came from that good part. That was when it revealed itself. But it's always there. And it's just a matter of us learning how to see it. We can tune into it whether he does a mitzvah or not. Yeah? We can tune into that Azam Alakai Ba'odi, that Nekuda.
Very important Torah right now.
Yeah. Asa is a mitzvah or David Tom Yama. So it's impossible he didn't do something in his life. He helped an old lady over the road. He put on tefillin one day.
Holds the door open for something.
He shook a lulav. He walked into a sukkah, and had a suda. He ate with people a Shabbos suda. There's so many mitzvahs you could do with Mela, especially in Eretz Yisrael, where you're sort of surrounded by it. Yeah. So by us judging him what happens here now on a previous level, through this we're able to elevate him in truth from the chaf hover, from the side of judgment or din, or the side of being guilty, to the side of merit. By us, the way we approach this person, we have that power. By coming into the good, we can elevate him from a place of chover to a place of schut. So see what we can do for every person all the time. And until he returns in tshuva through this, through our way of focusing on the Zaman Chai Ba'odi, he will come to tshuva. That Odi, that Od Ma'at, ain't a Rasha, that by us focusing on that, he will become not a Rasha. He'll do tshuva, he'll become a tzaddik. Yeah? On this Nekuda. Why did there might say Rasha Od Ma'at Tov? And we're bringing out from the Motzei Rush, from the bad person, a little bit of good. Sham Einu Rasha, and from that place he's not Rasha. Isaiah is bonus al Makoma Meinanu, and it's bonus Mistaka al Makoma Madrigoso, Einu Sham al Makoma Harishon, Ki Aidei Shemotzim Ba Od Ma Tov, Eza Nekuda Tovah, here he's saying it now, the famous word Nekuda Tovah, Dainin Oisa Lechafschut, and you're judging him positively, Aidei Zeh Motzin Oisa Be'emes Mechaf Chova Lechafschut. And then we turn him from the side of merit, of obligation, of guiltiness, to the side of merit. Oh, here we go. We'll end off with this. And through this, a person needs to see that in himself. We need to melamed schus on ourselves and see the Nekudas Tovas in ourselves.
Saying, well, if the first teaching we got here wasn't challenging enough,
we have to see it in ourselves, the good parts, the godliness. Here we go. Get to the breast of a Nekuda. That then we know. Then I will know. You will know. Adam has to be so careful to always be b'simcha tamid, happy always. The hachik ba'atzvus ma'od ma'od, and to distance himself very much from sadness. To the utmost degree. Ma'od ma'od. Very strong language here.
Yeah. We learned in
what
was the first Torah?
The
first Torah that we learned together was what was it? Kuf
Nun Hey.
Kuf Nun Hey?
Yeah. Being patience of ourselves. Arichas of prime of ourselves.
Yes.
Patience of ourselves. This is even
but
more.
It was Atzvus.
Yeah, getting away from
Atzvus. It was the Yetzer Hara Mamish.
Yeah, patience of ourselves gets rid of Atzvus. Seeing the Nekudas Tovas within ourselves gets rid of Atzvus. When I was in yeshiva and I was struggling,
he's calling it by its name.
Yeah, because in yeshiva it's very competitive. Everyone wants to get to the top shirim and all this stuff. And I was never the top shir guy. It wasn't my thing. I'm not a system guy. I don't have all those.
I can relate.
Letters next to my name and all that stuff. It's not my thing.
Esquire.
I'm not into to performance in Yiddishkeit, showing off. It's about living it. So the idea is that I could have got down in yeshiva being around that environment because it's all the time there's pressure to be a better London and all this stuff. And then what I did is I started writing a diary of Nekudas Tovas every day. And that kept me going. I did mitzvahs tefillin today. I did mitzvahs tzedakah today. I helped this person with something. I did this thing for someone. I made a concert, kumzitz. I learned some Torah. I did this part of Shas. I did this part of Mishnayos. I did this part. Only in the Nekudas Tovas. All I did every day, I wrote what I did good. And that gave me, I have a whole diary, a few of them, in fact, in storage somewhere. I've just, for the few years, just writing down the Nekudas Tovas. And that helped me get through a place where there was more of a focus on madrigas and learning and stuff that wouldn't have helped me had simcha. So I had to develop it myself. Simcha tamid. What happens if you start looking in yourself, and you don't see anything good, Like a person, say, he fell into addiction and he's in a rehab and he sees all the damage he's done in the past few months and the genevas and the heartbreak he caused his mother and this and that, and he's seeing himself in this. He sees he sees himself filled with sin. And standing right next to him is the Yetzer Hara, the Baal Dava himself, and he's trying to get fully depressed, full into this deep blackness, this bitter blackness. And even though he knows it's forbidden to fall from this, he has to still find some Nekuda Tovah. I had the honesty to turn myself into rehab. I had the honesty to admit that I have a drinking and drug problem. I have an honesty, whatever level Tov it is. Mitzvah dava shebekdusha zechach lasos who gam came male pnias machshavas zaras gam im harbe im kaze ich efshe shlo yeh ba'osa mitzvah dava juza ezemat tov gal kaponim eich shehu al kaponim hay eze Nekuda Tovah mitzvah dava tov she'asa kitzach adam lechapish levakish moitz basma ezemat tov kedei lechayas es asma v'lo lideis. And then he gets to come to simcha by doing this avodah of tuning in, no matter what, all the bad thoughts and all the negativities that come towards a person. He has to constantly look out for that little mitzvah, a little bit of kedusha, a little bit of good inside that he has, and through that to strengthen that part of himself, and then that he'll come to simcha, and then with simcha he'll be able to do more good. And that's talking about himself, even that person. So we're going to have to stop here. Okay. And Mr. Shem, B'sat Shmaya will come back and go through the whole Torah, because it is a big Torah and it deserves more time. But we got 2 Torahs in.
Amazing.
2 concepts of Shalom Bayit and Dan L'Chavzchut, which is not just on his friend, it's on himself as well. That's also, these 2 things together, I think, will help a person have Simcha and Shalom Bayit, and please God to be Zocher to that. I'll send it to you, but Shalom Bayit and Nekuda Tovah. Yeah, the good in other people and yourself. That's where we're
That's what we're up to.
Seeing the Nekuda Tovahs in yourself.
Gorgeous.
Simcha and Bracha. Have a safe trip.
And
we should hear any good news. Shalom.